Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're actually in the shop doing something. I know, it's crazy, right? Thanks for watching the other videos. I really appreciate it. Your continued support really makes this a lot of fun for me. I love bringing you this and sharing this knowledge. So many other luthiers are lone wolves where they start from the beginning and learn it. And I feel that as a community, we can be a lot more together if we learn from each other. Today, I've got a different thing that I'm working on. This is a Scherzer style guitar from Brandon Acker. You can see the rest of his video and the problems that he had with it on his channel. Basically, he left this out and it got dry and there were two cracks that came up. Not that big of a deal, but what he wanted to do is bring it up and have me fix it because I've done this for him in the past. And so I just wanted to bring this to you so that way you can see it, and then you can also go over to his channel and subscribe. Over here you can see that there is a light crack over here along the top. It's very minute, and then there's also one crack here up the middle. Really, first things first, we have to get these strings off, and once we get the strings off, then we can start gluing. So give me a minute. Okay, so now that I'm starting to get these pegs out, I actually like to keep them in order because sometimes these pegs are slightly different shapes and tapers from hole to hole. So, especially on a Luthier made guitar like this. So I like to keep them in order so that way there's no question on what's going to happen. I want to talk for a brief moment about glue. Now, for this, I'm going to be using the high glue, as I do always. There are other options that you can use. Well, the synthetics. I can tell you how long I don't use these for. This one expired in 2006. Mind you, it's 2025. And this one is more recent. This one expired in 2012. So needless to say, I don't use this stuff. And you should never use it. And if any luthier pulls out this stuff, walk out of their store right away because they don't know what they're doing. And I've already got it mixed up. I'm not going to hold it over the guitar, so there we go. And this is ready to go. Now, I want to make sure that I've got everything ready to go before I spread the glue because that means I have 2 minutes of working time. So it's going to go quick. What I want to do is have several plexiglass cauls so that way whenever I'm gluing, I can see exactly what's happening and know exactly where it's going to go. I want to have several different clamping methods. In this case, I've got some double-stacked neodymium magnets kept apart. The reason they're double-stacked is that they actually add a little bit more downforce if you add magnets to magnets, become stronger. As an alternate, because you always want to be careful and have an extra escape route if your plan doesn't happen, I'm going to keep some extra clamps on handy as well. Now, it's been about 2 weeks since he's dropped this off, which has given the top time to expand back to where it should be. And it's right at the perfect moment where the crack is almost touching back to where it's supposed to be, but maybe not quite. It's maybe a half a day off. And one of the great things about this high glue is that its proteins will pull the crack back together. So this is actually the perfect time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spread glue on the surface. I'm going to work it into the cracks, and I've just washed my hands, so I'm not rubbing breakfast or lunch or dinner or my oil change or anything else into the cracks. I want to make sure that my hands are clean. I'm going to use a mirror on the inside, which helps me see. What else do you use a mirror for? Weird. Well, I know what I use it for. I don't know what Brandon uses it for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on, spread it in. I'm going to use the mirror to check to make sure that there are rivulets of glue coming in. And then my first course of action, since this doesn't need to be clamped across, is to get a magnet inside of here and then slide it along the top on top of this caul. And then that should hold it in place. And once I have the magnets in place, I'm going to double check to make sure, because this is a guitar without finish. and, well, minimal finish. It's not like a high-tech French polish. So I want to make sure that everything is perfectly level. And if it's not, I got to take it out, get a little bit of water in there, fresh glue, and then reevaluate. The other part of this is I am not going to be using any cleats. I'm not a big fan of cleats, mainly because this doesn't need it. The only time that you should actually be using cleats is if the surface is not holding level and it wants to be pulled out. At that point, you're using them as a piece to hold it down and to bridge over the entire area, opposed to just keeping things together. So if they're extra work, you don't need them. They're not helpful. So with that said, here we go. First things first, I'm going to start at this crack, which starts below the bridge and runs to the tail block. And this is going to move fairly quickly. So just double checking. Here's the crack right at the tip of my finger. Okay, working it in just to make sure. Getting my mirror inside the guitar. And actually you can see the crack fairly well, and as I work it, I'm adding a little bit of extra glue to the surface to maintain the temperature out there. And I'm watching the glue, the glue just work its way through. So that's all we need. Quick cleanup. You don't want to leave this on the surface, especially on this rawer finish. Now I'm going to take this piece of plexi or acrylic, your choice. Very carefully make sure when you transport magnets, make sure that you transport them like this, not like this, because if they snap on you, they're bad. So I always like to take my thumbs, put it to here, put this one about where I can get it, and we'll walk it over here. Okay, and I like the way that that's holding in. So I'm going to come back in, and fortunately this one is being very kind to me. This one I'm going to walk it around the side. And magnets are really cool because they follow each other. So I have this bridged over. I have everything flat. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to let that one dry for the second crack, which is on the center seam. This one I'm actually going to use a slightly different technique, partially because I can reach it a lot better, and partially because it's a bit more closed up. I'm going to actually use my hands to push up from the underside. So you're going to have to trust me when I say that this is opening up. It's kind of hard to get onto camera, and it's kind of hard to see in person unless you've done this about 1,000 times this year. I'm just kind of working the crack up and down, putting some glue onto it again. And this one, again, I'm working the glue around, making sure that I am trying to get it through. And at this point, I'm feeling on the inside of the guitar, so that way I know exactly when the glue comes through, because once you get glue through it, you can't get more glue through it by definition, because it's just going to make a mess. Now, you could put newspaper on the inside if you're worried about this, and some techniques I will, but in this case, I'm not going to worry too much about the excess glue on the surface. But this one, I do want to get a little bit of water on there, and because my glue is in a hot water bath, I was just able to steal a little bit of that warm water, which gives me the time to work. Now, I'm going to put my other piece over here. Magnet on. One more. Hopefully it doesn't snap against each other, because this is really tight. And there we go. Just like that, these cracks are done. For now, I'm going to let them dry overnight at the bare minimum. And then at that point, I'm going to be able to take a look at everything that I've done to make sure that it's nice and level. I don't expect it to not be. And then I'm just going to clean the surface, and, well, after that, I'll show Brandon when he gets back. It's been a few days. I meant to do this yesterday. You only need like overnight, and with a lot of high glue things, you can almost get away with it overnight. It's time to take this out of the clamps and see where we're at. So, as we previously left it, I've got the magnets holding everything together with the cauls in between. Hopefully, they didn't get themselves glued in. So let's take them out. And as always, be ultra careful with these. These will hurt you quite a lot. And I like to keep them on a piece of plexi just so that way they're ready to go and I don't have to fight with it, because nobody likes to fight a magnet, much like those who don't like to fight a bear or a kangaroo or any other animal. Wow, that came out invisible. This is really impressive. So normally when something like this happens on a guitar with a lot of finish, at this point in time, I'm going to have to go back and, do a bit of cleanup and then some French polishing or buffing or something like that to really make it disappear. But in this case, I can't even really feel it other than the light amount of dirt that had gotten into the crack along the way. This is pretty impressive. Now, here comes the hard part. These magnets down here are a little bit more difficult because I can't quite get my hand in here. One of the things I really like about the modern guitar is that I can get my hand inside. And one of the things I'm not so wild about with this era of guitar is that I can't. So I'm just kind of using, magnetism to get these magnets out. And fortunately, they don't get glued in terribly often, mainly because I've taken one pair of my magnets. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I wrapped them in packing tape. It's a very high-tech way of preventing this, and I only use the packing tape ones on the inside and the raw ones on the outside, obviously with something in between. So, as soon as I can get this out, I'll be able to take a look at this last one. And that one, the magnet was actually almost stuck inside, which is a bad place for a magnet to get stuck. And by the way, I should probably mention that if you are using these magnets, please be very careful because they can give you blood blisters or worse. And actually, one of the worst things that can happen is that if you have a pacemaker, these can really interfere with that as well. So use accordingly and cautiously, and I think everybody who has worked with these magnets has gotten a blood blister. Alright, so I'm taking a look at both of these. There's just a little bit of surface glue residue, and I'm giving it just a quick wipe to make sure that all is loosened up and there is no residue. And, with that, it's a wrap. All I have to do now is put the strings back on. I'm probably going to polish the fingerboard just because I can't leave a guitar with nasty frets. And, I'll send it back over to Brandon. Thanks for coming back. How's your tour?
It was fantastic.
Awesome. So, I was able to take care of this.
Yeah.
And I think it turned out pretty well. What do you think?
I'm so excited to get it back. It's got its resonance back. Yeah, it was sounding dead. And actually, that's the thing I noticed before I even saw the cracks. I thought, why is my guitar sounding so lame? It sounds like kind of muffled. And I looked down and horror found these cracks. So it's not, to me, just to open strings, I can already hear that it sounds. It sounds like it's a better version of itself, honestly.
No, I hope that the microphones pick it up better than when we did it earlier.
Yeah.
So that way we can hear the sound difference.
Sure.
Because to me, it's very plain as day and night and day difference.
For me, it's huge. I mean, not having touched it since you did the change, it's amazing how you actually were able to make the cracks invisible. I mean, I wouldn't see them unless I played with the light and knew what I was looking for. Because, you know, they're just grain lines,
Yeah.
and it looks just like another, like, grain line. I mean, I can't believe you were able to make them look like that.
Well, you know, you did the right thing by not touching it. You know, you didn't get your skin oils in it, you didn't get your grease, you didn't get your boogers or your lunch into it.
As far as he knows.
I did pick a little. So, in order to make sure that those were clean, you did everything that was right. That
Good.
way they are basically invisible.
Nice. Well, thanks, Marshall. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, whatever the YouTube thing is. I've got a Patreon. Feel free to help out with that. It really helps me bring this kind of content. And for $500 off a new build, use promo code YouTube on my website. I'll see you next time. Thanks a bunch.